Are Iran's nuclear-armed partners now ready to stand firmly behind Mojtaba against the Arab bloc, as the Hormuz confrontation spills onto the global stage? China has openly slammed the US-backed Arab resolution on the Strait of Hormuz, handing Tehran a major diplomatic shield at the United Nations. Trump's suggestion that she would help squeeze Iran now appears to have taken a hit, with China publicly distancing itself on the Hormuz issue.
Mr. President, did President Xi make any firm commitment to put pressure on the Iranians to reopen the Strait of Hormuz?
I think he will. I think automatically he'd like to see it opened up. He gets about 40% of his energy or his oil from that, from the strait.
Iran is warning of consequences while China stands by its ally, as the Hormuz fight moves from the battlefield to the UN arena. Not just Arab states, Iran now appears to be signaling consequences for any country that lines up behind the US-led push over Hormuz. Iran on May 15 accused the US of trying to manufacture a false image of broad international backing over the Hormuz issue. Tehran said Washington was exploiting the high number of co-sponsors attached to a UN Security Council resolution on freedom of navigation in Hormuz. Iran's mission to the United Nations issued the sharply worded response, according to Iran International. Iran's mission to the United Nations said, and I quote, "Should the US trigger any new escalation, all co-sponsoring states will share international responsibility alongside Washington for the consequences. No political excuse or diplomatic cover can absolve them of responsibility for facilitating, enabling, and legitimizing US aggression." Unquote. The warning came in response to a draft UN Security Council resolution focused on freedom of navigation through the Strait of Hormuz. Al Jazeera, citing diplomatic sources, reported that the draft had attracted 112 co-sponsors. The resolution was reportedly tabled by Bahrain and the US and framed around protecting international waterways. The same resolution also reportedly calls for an end to Iranian attacks on its Gulf neighbors. Qatar, Saudi Arabia and Kuwait were reported to be among those joining the effort, with Bahrain and the US as the principal sponsors. India, Japan, South Korea, Kenya, Argentina, and many other member states were also reported to have signed on. Al Jazeera said that would amount to roughly two-thirds of the UN's 193 member states backing the measure. It was also described as the second such resolution Bahrain has brought before the Council on the issue. The first, tabled in April, was reportedly vetoed by China and Russia, both seen as closer to Iran on the matter. Meanwhile, China reportedly signaled that the new US-backed Hormuz resolution was not right, raising the prospect of another veto. China's ambassador to the UN criticized the proposed US-Bahraini text in comments carried by PassBlue. Fu Song was quoted as saying that both the content and the timing of the draft were not right. Fu Song said, and I quote, "We don't think the content is right, and the timing is not right. What we need is to urge both sides to engage in serious and good faith negotiations that can resolve the issue. So passing a resolution at this stage, we don't think is going to be helpful." Unquote. China's position was reported just after Trump wrapped up his China visit, adding another geopolitical layer to the Hormuz standoff. Trump has also spoken publicly about whether Xi Jinping agreed to help put pressure on Iran, linking the UN fight to wider US-China diplomacy.
Did President Xi make any firm commitment to put pressure on the Iranians to reopen the Strait of Hormuz?
I'm not asking for any favors. Because when you ask for favors, you have to do favors in return. We don't need favors. We've wiped out their armed forces, essentially. We may have to do a little cleanup work because we had a little month-long ceasefire, I guess you'd call it, but we have a blockade that's so effective. That's why we did the ceasefire. We really did the ceasefire at the request of other nations. I wouldn't have really been in favor of it, but we did it as a favor to Pakistan, who are terrific people, the Field Marshal and the Prime Minister. But no, I mean, President Xi and I agree on many things, and we agree very much on trade. We're going to be doing a lot of trading. Our farmers are going to be taking in. I mean, our farmers are going to be very happy with the deal we made.
Is your instinct that he will put pressure, that he will try and get them to do more?
Ask him to put pressure because I I don't need favors. I think he will. I think automatically he'd like to see it opened up. He gets about 40% of his energy or his oil from that, from the Strait. We get none. We get none. We don't need it.
Mr. President, on Truth Social, you said that President Xi had made a reference to the decline of the U.S. We didn't hear him say that. Maybe it was something he said in private to you. So what was it, first of all, that he said that prompted you to do this?
He made a statement. It might not have been from him. It was somebody, but they talked about the decline. But he said today, and he said it very publicly, he said the U.S. was declining for the last 4 years. And he said what President Trump has done in the last 15, 16 months has been virtually a miracle. He said we have the hottest country anywhere in the world. But he said it was a declining country. Under Joe Biden, he said we had a seriously declining country, which we did, with people pouring in from all over the world, from prisons and everything else. He said what President Trump has done has been a virtual miracle. It's the hottest country anywhere in the world, and it is, yeah.
On a different subject, on Cuba, there's reporting that Raul Castro could be indicted by the DOJ, I believe. What does that mean?
Well, I don't want to comment on that. I'll let DOJ comment on it. But they need help, as you know. And you talk about a declining country. They are really a nation or a country in decline. So we're going to see. We have a lot to talk about on Cuba, but not maybe for today.
Tariffs, Mr. President. Did you agree with President Xi to extend that year-long truce on tariffs?
We didn't discuss tariffs. I mean, they're paying tariffs. They're paying substantial tariffs, but we didn't discuss it. Before I came along, it was the opposite. We didn't discuss tariffs.
How come?
It wasn't brought up.
Mr. President, you said in January to us that you were going to bring up the expansion of their nuclear program. Obviously, they've got 600 weapons now, by the Pentagon's estimate, going to 1,500. Did that come up? Did you succeed in getting them into any form of arms control? Or remember we discussed New
You're
Start?
talking about China.
China.
We brought it up. The denuclearization. I talk about it all the time with Russia and with China. And it did come up. We did discuss it.
And what did you conclude?
I don't know. I got a very positive response since the beginning. We're going to be together 4 times, potentially, this year. We have the G20, which he wants to come to, which I'd like him to come to. It's going to be in Miami. It's going to be in Doral. And it's going to be, I think, very good. Much more important if he's there. And so you have the G20. We have one that he has, as you know, in November,
Right.
in China. He's asked me to be there. I'm going to try and be there. And then we have another one on September, I guess, 26th or 24th, when he's coming into the White House.
I'm trying to understand what it is he committed to, if he committed anything.
Well, I don't want to say anybody committed, but we have a very good understanding.
So are you going to
the
move
concept of denuclearization.
Denuclearization or just an extension
Well, no,
of New
a
Start?
denuclearization.
In other words, building down.
And you bring Russia into it also. But the concept of that is something would be very good.